Welcome back to the next lecture on this particular lecture series of marketing management, that is on the topic packaging and labeling as per the prescribed syllabus of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University. Hello dear friends and dear learners, I am your resource person for this particular lecture series and my name is Nishant Kumar Singh, working as an assistant professor at Department of Management Studies, GL Bajaj Institute of Management and Research, Greater Noida. Okay. So, dear friends, I'll be discussing with you today in this particular lecture series on the topic, and that is on the packaging and labeling. They are one of the very promising aspects in the context to the marketing domain once it is being considered. Before we begin further, let's quickly have a look at what is the agenda for the day in this particular discussion. So, these are some of the topics that we are going to unfold in this particular discussion, and that is what is packaging. The list goes very long, but that definitely we need to address it. That is the objectives of packaging, the function of packaging, the type of packaging, packaging as a marketing tool, what are the requirements of a good packaging. There are certain considerations that has to be kept in mind when going for a packaging. Then what is labeling basically and what are the objectives of the labeling. Within that we will be covering up that how packaging is assisting in how labeling is assisting into the packaging basically. That is all is going to be covered up, unfolded in this particular discussion. So, without taking much of time, let us begin with the discussion. So, first being the first, that is what is packaging. We must have to have an understanding exactly that what is packaging and all about basically. So, let us have a look at this point of discussion that we have, and that is that packaging is the preparation of the product's commodity for a product storage or a transportation. It may entails blocking, bracing, cushioning, marketing, sealing, strapping, weatherproofing, wrapping, etc. that what we see as per the business dictionary basically. These are the various set of tasks very minutely that are being done and that we see basically into. I just have taken one of the product just to share with you all that what exactly the packaging is. Every toffee wrappers that you see with yourself is covered up with a packaging basically. Though everything that you see around you, not even with that, like even with the strips of the tablets that you carry, that everything is being packaged over there. The kind of bottle that you see for your Pepsi and the Coke, that everything that you are carrying, that is being packed also. So, that every material that you see around yourself that is coming up, your laptop bag which is being like delivered to you, like it is being packed into a thing, the kind of every item that you receive from the Flipkart, Amazon, or from the any of the kind of the websites, the online e-commerce site basically, that everything is being packed into a quite a long term of things, and they are covering up with many aspects basically. So, let us have a look at what exactly the other aspect that is being about the packaging is. Packaging is the activity of putting your possessions into bags, cases or boxes, so that you can take or send them somewhere. That means what it defines basically what is the purpose of packaging is. It just is the purpose that you keep your things in such way, like if I have to keep these 20 tablets with myself, or just to transport it, or just to locate it, or to just to keep it and make its quality intact. Basically, that is more important to understand, is that I have to pack it up, and whatever the process and the things that I do in that particular process of making it more comfortable to be put into boxes or to send themselves, so that I can proof it, block it, entail it. So, that everything is a part of packaging basically. Okay. So, what is the objective of packaging, or rather we can say what is the purpose of doing a packaging basically, is just to identify the brands basically. What we see is, once we see a Pepsi bottle that is black in color, there is a Coke is also black in color, then we have they both are black in color, but because of the packaging and the color that they are, that organization, that brand is taking up basically, it is very quite evident that even on the very first glance of that particular product itself, you can identify to which brand it belongs basically. So, in order to make your brand identifiable, in order to make your products to be differentiable into the market basically, you need to have a very clear understanding about this particular aspect as a marketer, that you need to create and packaging which is making your brand identifiable into the market basically. What other thing that it conveys basically is basically it is very descriptive and persuasive information. The kind of information that are being available onto the particular product packaging basically, that is very persuasive, that persuades the consumer which is going through with that particular shelf of that particular store, so that it attracts the consumer, so that they can even at least have a look about that particular product, what exactly it is. With that particular description which is available on that particular product packaging, you can even convert those kind of prospects as your consumers basically. So, it helps you to convey a lot about you as an organization or about your product as an organization. It facilitates the product transportation and protection. Definitely we can see there are a lot of like as we see there are big cartons which are carrying up your refrigerators. So, that makes it easier for you to transport your refrigerator from one place to another. So, that packaging not only do the packaging, but it also brings a lot of protections, because once we see and unfolds the box of a refrigerator, there are a lot of thermocol packets that are being arranged from all the sides, and then it is being wrapped within cartons around that particular thing, and they have a lot of information that are there on that particular carton also, and with the strips that are being like attached around it, it becomes convenient for the people to carry it and transfer it very wisely from one place to another. So, that is the another objective of packaging basically, to assess the home storage basically. With the help of the packaging that we get, like we are getting the reusable juice bottles right now, the Tetra packs that we are getting, the bigger one. So, with the kind of lid that are available at the top of that particular juices that we are having right now, I can name a few of the brands basically. So, they are helping you to store the products in a more wiser way at your home basically. It add product consumption. It also, like, because of the reusable quality of that, like I can store the products in a more wiser way, I can have the capacity that I can use the product even for a longer duration of time. So, that gives you a lot a kind of beauty over there, like the bottle of Pepsi, if I buy a 2 liter bottle, I can use it and I can consume it. I do not have to consume it all at once basically. I can use it and I can put it into my refrigerator and I can use it over a different period of time. So, that was the purpose of basically the objectives of the packaging basically. These are certain functions of the packaging basically. What are the functions being performed by a packaging is, it is a protective functions basically. That means, the packaging brings a lot of protection. As I have said, like this was a tablet that I was carrying just for your example purpose. So, because of the packaging, the quality of the these tablets are intact into it, because of the film coverage that is there at the background, or the kind of things that I am using into this particular thing. It is a kind of an example that it says that it brings a lot of protection to the quality, or I can say it is making its originality intact basically. So, that is one of the clear function that is being performed by packaging. Storage function, that means I can store the products more wisely and I can keep it for a longer duration of time. That is another purpose or the function of the packaging basically. The next one is loading and transporting functions, like if I can give you an example, like as we see the toffee packets basically. So, the toffee packets are like even put up into small boxes, or they are even put into a one plastic bags basically. Then the lot of 10 bags are added into one carton. These 10 bag cartons are added into a bigger carton. So, that helps you in the loading and transportation into even a larger lot of the products can be transported with much ease, just because if the way we are using the packaging basically. It also helps you into the sales and promotional function with the kind of information which are being depicted on that particular packaging. It can give you a lot of sales promotion objective, maybe in terms of the kind of quality, maybe the once we see that on a particular lace packet, that buy one and get a particular offer onto a 10 minutes of talk time into that particular from a particular a kind of a website, or for you can get a lot of coupons. So, that by that way it is working as a sales and a promotional function also, that is also available on the packaging itself in the form of label and informational functions. Maybe that is where the concept of labeling came into existence basically. The information that we have, like as I can see, like onto every bottle of the cough syrup that we buy, we look into the date of manufacturing, the date of expiry, the contents of that particular product, the ingredients of that particular product into it. So, these set of information is giving us a kind of an informational function, that again labeling is again attached to that particular packaging itself, and that is why it is providing you a lot of information about that particular product also. The next one is type of packaging. There comes the importance aspect of this particular packaging. That means, if I take you an example over here, we see a toffee wrapper packets, like if I say a munch, the chocolate munch that we see. So, the first one identified SKU unit that we see basically, that we buy for our self consumption, is the 1 unit. Within around that particular chocolate, there is a wrapper that we tear off to consume it before. So, that becomes the primary package of it. and that is what it is also being mentioned over here, that the primary package is the one which is offered for sale. So, the if I say a Munch toffee that we buy one piece of it, the wrapper around it is the primary packaging that we say. Now, we see that the a pack of 10 Munches are packed into one small carton. So, that becomes they are being grouped into a 10 Munches packet and they are called as the secondary packaging basically. There are one identified packaging and then there are group of 10 Munches are being kept into one small cartons and they are being called as a grouped packaging basically. The next is a combination of these 10 Munches into one box grouped packaging. 10 quantities are being grouped up into one bigger carton, so that a bigger lot can be used for transportation from the one point to the other, and that brings and called as the tertiary packaging basically, and that is why the name is transport also. Let us have a very quick recap of this particular aspect. That means, what are the different types of packaging? The first one is primary packaging that we see, like okay, I will just take an example of it. I just had this particular product. So, this is the one particular unit. The moment I just tear it off this with this particular product, the item that I get is this item basically. This item basically. So, this becomes after this particular toffee and lozenges that I have right now with this particular lozenges basically. So, this becomes the primary packaging. After this, like a packet of 20 of such lozenges are grouped up into one boxes, that becomes the secondary or the grouped packaging basically. The next one is the tertiary, the combination of these 10 lozenges groups boxed lozenges were packed into a bigger lot, where 10 lot of such like around more than 100 boxes were being packed. So, that becomes a bigger lot and they are being required for the transportation from one location to other, and that is why they are called as transport or tertiary one. Okay, I think the point is clear now. The next we have packaging as a marketing tool. So, that is what is like being addressed in your syllabus in this particular discussion that how packaging is working as a marketing tool basically. Okay. So, as we see that it is just because of the packaging that we like, the moment we step into any of the big retail giant store, like if I say a Big Bazaar or anything like that into the so what we see, the once we step into that particular store, once we roam around here and there according to the as per the needs we are searching for the product, it is just because of the product that we can pick it over there, we can read about it, we can identify whether it is as per my needs or not. I can definitely have a kind of an choice that I can even switch to a different product and choices. So, that is the way by which marketing itself is working onto a self service basis, that I can go and pick up one product. Like suppose if I have to go and buy only a Sunsilk shampoo, but somehow when I stepped up into the store and I inquired about, there were a lot of other brands which were there, like Head and Shoulder was there was Sunsilk also, there was like Tresemme was also there. So, I can pick up any of the aspect, I can just pick up one of the product, I can inquire about with that particular product, what are the ingredient, what is the purpose of it, whether it is for maintaining the silkiness of your hair or whether it is for the dandruff control one, or it is for making it a thick and strong, or the other aspect also. So, by that way we can say that packaging is working as a marketing tool, that it by default each packaging is in itself is containing so much of self sufficient information that it can brings a lot of self service to the people. Then consumer affluence, the next point basically. What it says basically is it's pay a little more for the convenience. Affluence over here, it tries to ponder upon to the aspect that rising in affluence means consumers are willing to pay something extra, that they are even ready to pay even a broader or a more aspect or a more of money or a more of effort for the products, depending on the kind of convenience that it is offering, the kind of benefit that are being offered by that particular product, the kind of dependability that I have for that particular product. Maybe I can say the kind of affection, maybe the brand affection that I have for that particular product, even that are being counted as the factors that are like acting as one of the factors for it was the consumer based output that we are looking into this particular aspect of consumer affluence over here. The next is basically the company and the brand image basically. That is where also the packaging plays a very important role, because in order to define yourself, moreover what I like to stress upon, in order to create your brand image into the market, you need to have a very distinctive, identifiable and a very stronger messages that has to be conveyed even with your packaging also. Because even when we look at the marketing into a different perspective or from the branding aspect or from the image building aspect, that can help you to retain and grow and keep your customer. Basically your image building could even be contributed with the kind of packaging that you are using, the kind of convenience that you are offering with your packaging, with the kind of ease that is available with the consumer, like even you are offering into a smaller sachet format. Even that kind of packaging is also building a kind of an affluence for the consumer also, that can also help you to understand and build and retain your customers, and maybe even with the kind of quality of the products that you are using in your packaging, that can even help you to create a more better brand image in the market. Maybe why you are requiring as a model, because with the kind of innovation that you are bringing in into your product, in terms of the quality of the packaging that you are using, maybe in terms of the quality of innovation that you are bringing in into your products, there are kind of more of opportunity that you can develop. I can just share one example that I have is like once we see the calcium Sandoz bottle into the pharmacy shop, basically the kind of the shapes that they are putting up around that particular box is quite attractive for the kids to be have. So, by that way the kind of innovation that you are bringing in into your product and its variety and choices that you are offering in terms of the packaging also. I am not talking about the product itself, but beyond the product, if you are bringing that kind of innovation into your packaging also, it is bringing a huge difference into the market basically. So, let us have a look to the next slide, that is what are the requirements of a good packaging basically. A good packaging is required. What needs to be focused or what makes basically a good packaging, basically the design of the package basically, like as per the requirement of the product itself, you need to design your product. As per the requirement of the particular product that you have, basically you need to design your package basically. The designing, the aesthetic aspect of the product of your packaging is playing that much of a role in terms when you are have to think about the particular design of the product. Maybe the material that you are using in the packaging is also playing a very important role, like what kind of products are you using, like as we see that the salt if we are using, we are nowadays seeing that they are being come up into the plastic packaging. We cannot bring them into a steel or a container based kind of packaging, because they have their own qualities by which way they can start doing a lot of erosion or like the rusting into that particular metal over there. So, in that way basically we need to choose very items that we are using for the packaging of the product in a more wiser way, like do we require a metallic or a film, like if I say for this particular for the tablets, basically what kind of material do I need to have to choose, so that making it quality intact, so that it is not started interacting with the chemicals that it has. So, that point has to be very clear with the packaging aspect, because if the material that we are using, it is not depleting the quality of the particular material itself, or it is not adding to something which is again hampering the quality, the look and the other aspects of the originality of the product also. So, that has to be kept in mind before we are moving ahead into it. The next one is the label of on the particular packaging, because label is the one which gives you a very detailed information what it has basically. Like suppose I can just give you a very simple example, like once we see into the refrigerator or into the packaging of the a television set basically. So, we see on the packaging itself, it is being mentioned as a form of a label, that this is the front screen of that particular television. On the package board we can see this kind of things are being, this is the side, this is the front, this is the top and this is the left hand side. Hold your clips over here, do not hold clips, so that every information that are being displayed on that particular packaging itself gives you a lot of information, and it has to be there, because if we are that things are not being informed in the form of a label, they are going to not to give you a better support basically. Then the next one is cost effectiveness, that means the kind of material that you are using must be so enough that it is bringing a lot of quality into it. It is not costing too much cost to you basically. Moreover, it is must be adding a quality to the kind of packaging that you are using. It has to have use convenience, because the packaging is the basic purpose is that it brings a lot of ease, convenience to the consumer. If it is bringing a kind of discomfort, definitely the consumers are not going to prefer that particular product. And with the changing needs of the society and the government laws, basically every packaging has to be eco friendly, so that we can have a lesser footprints into the market basically. In the society, for we are creating a lesser footprints or the carbon footprint, we are having a lesser carbon footprint into the market. What needs to be considered in consideration in the packaging is basically that I have to do a lot of prevention in the aspect what it needs to focus upon over here, that wherever possible use packaging, so that I can prevent any kind of adulteration, maybe I can prevent any kind of mixing, maybe I can prevent any kind of we can say the depletion of the quality of the product itself. So, that is the sense of prevention over here, that is the consideration if we are doing. We must not use any kind of material of packaging that is itself is depleting or is adding to the depletion of the product quality itself. The next one is minimization that I need to focus and consider. That means I should minimize the volume and masses. That means I can reduce the masses of the packaging by itself, like by I can say like now we can see the Tetra packs of the fruity itself. So, we are not supposed to buy every time a 2-liter bottle. We have seen even the smaller bottles of the Pepsi and the Cokes in the market. So, they are being designed with the purpose that I can minimize the volume and the masses depending on the needs and requirement of the consumer. Every time it is not required that every person who is stepping out and going to buy a Pepsi or a Coke is going to buy a 2-liter bottle. So, that is why we are minimizing the volume and the mass. The next one that is more important is the reuse. That means allow the package to be reused again and again, so that we can have, again the purpose is that we are not adding more to the pollution basically. Recycling, another aspect that is concentrating more onto the like the environmental reprocessing to get a new product from the material, so that we can reprocess the material, we can have an alternative usage of that particular thing, or we are recycling, and so that we can develop a reuse of that particular product. Disposable, that means use eco-friendly products that are not, again that is what I have been like telling, that it is not adding to the additional carbon footprints into the towards the environment basically. So, I need to have eco-friendly, biodegradable, disposable packaging that allows and creates a less of garbage outside basically. So, they are the points that needs to be considered when we are considering that what kind of packaging I as an organization need to develop for my product basically. The next is labeling basically. So, what labeling says basically, that labeling is the components of the branding and allows the recognition of product. It is a written information that is attached to the it is attached for identification to the product and offers a product sale basically. So, what it is labeling basically over means, I have just now discussed, I was carrying 2 products with myself, they were like they were lozenges basically, that is what I was carrying. So, as we can see, there are a lot of information that are being available over here on this product itself, maybe in the form of the kind of flavor that it is offering, maybe the kind of the ingredients that it has, maybe the kind of we can say the information, the contradiction, maybe I'll be specifying the ingredients, the date of manufacturing, maybe I will be specifying the when I have to use the expiry date of, or the term that best before that about that particular. So, every information that is there available on this particular product or in the regarding that particular product on the package is called as labeling basically. Now, what is the an additional aspect that we are covering up over here is what is the objective of the labeling basically. And with this objective and purpose of labeling that we are discussing, we are also discussing that how labeling is basically assisting the packaging in its broader perspective. That means, that is labeling itself is not an isolated version, it is just in association with the packaging basically, and how labeling is adding more to the quality of the packaging basically, or how it is assisting to the function of packaging. One is that is information aspect, informative aspects. So, let us have a look at the objectives of labeling basically. Objective of the labeling states basically, it represents the product and its contents basically. What is there in the labeling basically? It talks about the content of the product basically, like as we see into the different ingredients, like when we see a lot of medicine. So, they are specifying what chemicals that may have used in the manufacturing for the manufacturing of that particular product itself. So, that every information is important for you as a consumer, or for we as a consumer, that we must know that what are the products that are being used for the manufacturing of this particular product. So, it represents, it talks about the product and also its core contents of it. It helps to recognize the product, maybe just because of the packaging itself and the labeling that we are choosing. by the help of labeling we are in a position that we can recognize the product itself. By recognizing the product, we mean to say that we are able to differentiate the one product from the other, and we are very clear in understanding that this was the product that we are looking at basically. It talks about the items assortment basically. Labeling, by labeling assortment means I am just clubbing up and mixing up the one set of quality of product as one array. It is just because of the labeling that I have. That means once I say that this was the wrapper of lozenges that I have used, it is of orange flavor that it is coming up. Maybe the other one which is coming up with another flavor, maybe just because of the labeling that we have choose, just because of the kind of depictions I have shown it on this particular wrapper, I will be able to identify and differentiate even because of the color that I have taken and chosen over there. It is very easy to identify. A very best example that I can give over here is, once we see with the aspect of the things like we see on the product which is marked, once we move into like big MACD or somewhere, item marked with red and the item marked with the green. These are even two items that are being used as a labeling, but they too have a very clear understanding. The item marks with the red are showing that they are having certain non-vegetarian items basically, and the item marked green are the one which is depicting that it is a vegetarian item basically. It has not using any non-veg or any kind of flesh into it. So, that is the one of the aspect by which we can very clearly identify by just putting up the dot of a red over there, that yes, this is the item which is of non-veg. So, that the one who is going and browsing with the menu card may can very easily identify, so these are the item that I need to focus upon, or these are the item that I must avoid if I am putting up a order for a vegger one. So, these are item assortment and segregation that make it much more easier with the help of labeling basically. It assists in the product marketing basically. It assists in the marketing aspect, that means by the terms of the information that it is providing, by the way it is helping in the labeling also. It is in the way it is by default, as very rightly being said, that it is assisting. It is extending that extra support to the marketing basically. In terms of marketing, it is not only in terms of information, in terms of like creating a distinctive image, maybe in terms of creating it identifiable, maybe in terms of like coming up with creating a better assortment and segregation of the product that are being available in that particular products. So, in that particular product range. So, by that way it basically is guiding and is helping and assisting in the marketing itself, the complete product marketing itself. The last one is in fulfillment of the law basically. Sometimes it is now as per the regulation and guidelines of the competent authorities that you have to mention these kind of things in the form of a label. Like once we see the lot of food and beverages like FSSAI numbers, and their certification has to be there onto that particular product packaging and labeling, so that it gives you a clear understanding of that what exactly they are, like how much is the quality about it, that we need to identify the content of it, that has to be very clearly mentioned over there on that in the form of label of that particular product or within the label itself. So, with these set of functions that are being performed by the labeling, what we can like conclude with this point of discussion over here, that it basically assists the packaging and has a broader perspective in the aspect of it is giving a lot of assistance to the labeling over a longer duration of time. So, that is what we have discussed, and I think the complete agenda under discussion has been like taken up, and that is that what is packaging, the objective of packaging, the function of packaging, the types of packaging basically, packaging as a marketing tool, what are the requirements of a good packaging, what are the different considerations that needs to be considered while we are going for the designing of any kind of packaging, then what exactly a labeling is, and what are the different objectives and purpose of the labeling basically. Upon discussion with this particular objective of labeling, we have covered up that how exactly labeling is assisting the complete packaging and the marketing overall. With these words, I think we have finally come to the end of this particular discussion, and I just take and leave from you all, and thank you so much everyone.